An Israeli airstrike hits the home of the Hamas leader in Gaza. It's the latest in the region's escalating violence. To mask or not to mask? Many Americans are asking that question as they get used to new federal recommendations. Plus this.
I'm so proud of you. I love you forever and always. Kobe Bean Bryant.
Kobe Bryant's widow delivers an emotional speech as the former Los Angeles Laker is inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Live from CNN World Headquarters in Atlanta, welcome to all of you watching here in the United States, Canada, and around the world. I'm Kim Brunhuber. This is CNN Newsroom. The Israeli military says it has, quote, clear act to stop journalists from reporting in Gaza. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says schools should continue
growing quickly over the last week or so.
And I think we might have lost Phil there, but we thank him for that reporting in London. All right, still to come on CNN, we head to the Vatican, where Pope Francis is holding a special mass for Rome's Myanmar Catholics. Plus, we'll have the latest on the fighting between Israel and Gaza militants. I'll speak to a Middle East expert about why he thinks the violence could grow even worse. Stay with us. All right, you're looking at live pictures from the Vatican, where Pope Francis is celebrating Holy Mass with Myanmar Catholics living in Rome. He's made many calls for peace in Myanmar since the military seized control in February. Some reports say nearly 800 people have been killed by the military's security forces during its crackdowns on protests against its rule. So for more on this, let's bring in CNN's Celia Gallagher, who is in Rome. Celia, one might not normally associate Myanmar with Catholicism and to provide financial help to those who qualify for resettlement. Much of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is focused on Gaza right now, but there are concerns about the fighting spreading. We'll have a report from the West Bank coming up. Plus, Taiwan hit a new domestic COVID case record. And now grocery store shelves are emptying as people stock up. We'll explain what's happening. Stay with us. Welcome back to all of you watching us here in the United States, Canada, and around the world. I'm Kim Brunhuber, and this is CNN Newsroom. Israel's military says it has bombed the home of the Hamas leader in Gaza. And Israeli Yossi Meckelberg, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coronavirus cases are surging in Taiwan. The latest numbers have just been released, so we'll have them for you in a live report from Taipei just ahead. And well, it was an emotional night as basketball honors the late Kobe Bryant. The tributes at the Hall of Fame next.
This is CNN, the world's news network.
On Sunday, which is a pandemic record, all but one were locally transmitted. One is from India. The self-governed island is tightening social distancing restrictions for Taipei and nearby areas. Journalist Andy Lee joins us live from Taipei with the latest. Andy, so Taiwan had long been considered a...
Christy Lustout, CNN.
We'll be right back. A freight train derailed in Minnesota on Saturday when more than 24 cars jumped the tracks and jackknifed. There are no reports of injuries among the crew. The Union Pacific train was carrying mixed goods, including hydrochloric acid, which is reportedly leaking from 2 cars. The cause of the derailment is under investigation. The major U.S. pipeline that was hacked in a ransomware attack last week has these images of her, a photo of her husband and other family members at the Hall of Fame writing, "Love you always." What a touching tribute to a legend. Well, that wraps this hour of CNN Newsroom. I'm Kim Brunhuber. I'll be back in just a moment with more news. Deadly violence continues in the Middle East. Israel says it bombed the house of the Hamas leader in Gaza early this morning. We'll have details from the region in a moment. This, as U.S. President Joe Biden calls for de-escalation, speaking separately with both the Israeli Prime Minister and Palestinian Authority President. And a clarification from the CDC, now urging schools to keep requiring masks for the rest of the school year. Live from CNN World Headquarters in Atlanta, welcome to all of you watching us here in the United States, Canada, and around the world. I'm Kim Brunhuber. This is CNN Newsroom. The Israeli military says it has struck the home of a Hamas leader, Yahya Sinwar, in southern Gaza. He's the head of Hamas in Gaza and lives in Khan Yunis, south. And that was Gary Pruitt, the president and CEO of the Associated Press. Well, the CDC is loosening the mask guidelines for Americans fully vaccinated against the coronavirus, but layers of federal and local regulations are causing confusion. And where does that leave schools and students? That's coming up. Plus, Taiwan has shattered one of its COVID-19 case records. The previous high, well, just a day earlier. We're seeing new measures and panic buying. Stay with us. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says schools should continue masking for the rest of the academic year. Health officials say that's because there's not enough time. So for more on this, let's bring in CNN's Phil Black in London. Phil, there seems to be more and more pressure on Prime Minister Boris.
Christy Lustout, CNN.
Coming up, protesters in the Middle East are showing solidarity for Palestinians. We'll have a live report from Beirut ahead. Plus, working for U.S. troops in Afghanistan is a risky business for local interpreters and others, but things could become even riskier when the U.S. finishes its withdrawal. That's ahead. Stay with us. And welcome back to all of you watching us here in the United States, Canada, and around the world. Israel's military says it has bombed the home of a Hamas leader in Gaza. An Israeli official says Yahya Sinwar wasn't hurt when an airstrike hit his home in Khan Yunis. For his analysis there. U.S. troops are drawing down their numbers in Afghanistan, but questions remain. Among them, what will happen to local Afghans who work for Americans? Maybe targets after they leave. That's ahead. Plus, Pope Francis holds a special mass for Myanmar Catholics. We'll have a live report from Rome. Coming up, stay with us.
I'm Phil Mattingly at the White House, and this is CNN.
In Afghanistan, the withdrawal of U.S. military forces is raising big questions.
International community, as he has done several times from here at the Vatican, to step up and take action to help stop the violence in Myanmar. Kim?
All right. Thank you so much, Celia Gallagher. Appreciate it. The fuel crisis in the U.S. is starting to ease, but in some places things are far from back to normal. That's next. Stay with us. The major U.S. pipeline that was hacked in a ransomware attack last week has been up and running for a few days now, but it's still a huge challenge to find gas in some areas. In Washington, D.C., outages were reported more than 80% of gas stations on Saturday, and it's not just there, but across the southeast, as CNN's Natasha Chen reports.
Gas stations.
Love you always. What a touching tribute to a legend and one of my favorite players of all time. That wraps this hour of CNN Newsroom. I'm Kim Brunhuber. For our viewers in the U.S. and Canada, New Day is just ahead. For everyone else, it's Africa Avant-Garde.